Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first official episode of Haunt Talk this year, because this is like the first like normal format review. In today's episode, we are going to be reviewing Hundred Acre Manor, which we go to every year because it opens way earlier than all the other haunts. And we also usually go to Fright Farm afterwards. It's about an hour away, so same case this year. We did Hundred Acre Manor and Fright Farm, so yeah. That is what we're going to be doing today, is an in-depth review of Hundred Acre Manor, and we hope you enjoy. So if you're not aware, Hundred Acre Manor is a multi-haunt thing. You don't wait in line multiple times, but there's multiple themes, like very definitive themes that it switches between. I think there's like 5 themes in total.
I think so.
Yeah.
About that. 4 or 5.
Which we'll be kind of touching on, all together. And we have a lot to compare it to since we've been going to this haunt for many, many years now. I'm not sure how long they've been open for. I would say it's probably at least 20 years, I would think, that they've been open for.
Quite a while.
Yeah, they've been doing this for quite some time. But yeah, we're just going to kind of get right into it because, again, we review this one every year, so we kind of want to get to talking about it. But, as always, to do so, we must refer to the Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Book of the Dead! Alright, so, as always, the first category we're going to get into is sets and props.
So, we were kind of surprised this year, because normally this place is one of our favorites to go to because they have a lot of really cool elaborate sets and stuff like that. It's not super scary, but the sets are pretty cool.
Right.
I don't know if something was going on. If you by chance are watching this and you work there and know if something was going on this weekend or something, let us know. But it seemed like nothing was working right.
We were on there that's September 20th, but
yeah.
Like it seemed like there was lights, but so much darker than I remember it being. I don't know if this is on purpose or maybe we're just crazy, but both of us we couldn't see a lot of the detail because there were some scenes that were lit, and we'll get in more detail about the things, like the asylum one. That one was lit.
Yeah.
But then there was multiple ones where things just weren't working. There's usually a really cool scene that's kind of it's like a wharf kind of thing, and it has like a shark that's supposed to be like Jaws there, and usually you have to walk behind a waterfall. That wasn't working. And it was just in general darker than I remember it being. So either I'm crazy or something weird was going on with the electric. I do know there's a big storm, I think, that passed through the area. It wasn't storming when we were there. It was lightly raining.
Yeah.
But I know that a haunt that is semi-ish close to them closed because the weather was so bad. So we'll talk about the things that were new. Not a lot was new, but the opening section was changed.
Yeah, so normally it used to be kind of like London streets, where it was kind of a mix of Jack the Ripper / plague / werewolves and just a bunch of little menagerie of things. And it seemed like they kind of changed it to more of like a slaughterhouse.
I think, or maybe they're going for a village that you were walking through a slaughterhouse of, because you enter a slaughterhouse, but you still are walking through streets. It was kind of cool because you walk outside almost immediately now, and there's multiple big buildings you walk through. There really wasn't too much that was super interesting happening in them, though.
No.
They were cool, I guess, because the one was like a butcher shop. You see that in every haunted house, and I kind of liked the old theme a little bit better of the plague thing, because they didn't have the section where which I think was a prefab section. You could just a room you could buy and put in your haunted house of the little sewer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was gone. So, but I think I liked it, but again, things just didn't seem like they were lit properly, at least on the outside. And that was the main change. There might have been small changes here and there. You also go through, they still have the section which used to be themed to the plague in London, which now it's a little different, but there is I don't know, it's a little back alley street, and then you kind of go, I think it's a coffin dealer, and that's still a really cool section. And that was pitch black in there. You could barely see anything. That might have been on purpose for them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I remember that being a little bit more lit, because they used to try to measure you for the coffins and stuff and put you in coffins, and it just seemed like there was not enough light in there to do anything.
Yeah. They also have that bayou scene, which we talked about, with had the waterfall. And that scene is cool, but again, like, the waterfall wasn't working. This is the first time that I haven't seen that working, so that was disappointing. They do have a really cool... It's not like how Akron Schoolhouse has the room that kind of tilts with the barrels. This one is like, I believe it has basically airbags underneath.
I think so.
That it decides when to jostle you around. That seems cool. And that was one of the few puppets that was working. They had like a snake puppet coming out.
Yeah.
And snapping at you while you're walking through there. So that was pretty cool. They have the Yeti section, which they installed a couple years ago. And again, that I almost positive used to be lit better. Like, I could barely see anything.
Yeah.
But I mean, the sets are really cool. Again, so we won't make them seem too well, but we know what they look like, and they're really neat. But like, even they have like this giant Yeti hand that's usually grabbing someone and taking them. You know, that wasn't working either. Just most of the animatronics really weren't. Now, the Asylum, I think, was an addition. I believe it was last year or the year before.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest on Asylum themes, but at least... Once you get in, it's like whatever, but I do think the facade or like the little outside section as you're walking in is super cool.
Yeah.
There's like an ambulance with the lights going and all
well,
that.
I remember from last year, so they did a really cool transition because they had the section that was the plague, where you went in from this like,
right.
you know, this Victorian era, you know, medical practices and stuff like that, where they basically, you know, they would just let blood and it just weird stuff because they didn't know what they were really doing, to like it would progress to like this more modern setting of this hospital. And they didn't have that this year.
No,
it was basically like a dark tunnel.
Yeah. Because, like I said, the first haunt, they needed, if they're going to redo it, they should have completely redone it. It was like they redid part of it, and the other one, like, the streets of London was still kind of there where you entered the casket, and it just didn't fit as well because people were still talking about werewolves. I don't know. I didn't really know what was going on there. There is another section that is like one of my favorite sections, kind of like a graveyard that leads you to a devil church, and then it goes into like kind of like a voodoo kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's always been a little disjointed for me because of like it goes into kind of like a blacklight-ish section after the like devil church and cemetery and stuff. There's like a lot of goat props and stuff like that, like little goat demon props and stuff. That section's really cool. It's in the church is really neat, and there's a giant like goat devil Satan, I guess basically. It's Satan Bahamut in the church, which is cool. It's not an animatronic, I don't think, but it's cool.
Yeah.
And then they also have the only other section I don't think we've talked about is the final section, which is pretty much themed like old school Halloween. It kind of starts as a Halloween party and then dives into like just old school Halloween stuff like witches, vampires, that.
Like a very old school haunted house where you would go and it would just be just a menagerie of, you know, vampires and ghosts and whatnots.
Yeah. And again, I mean, with like just things not working and stuff in there's just a lot that just wasn't, you know, working. And there's also some other problems than actors we'll talk about. But, I mean, for sets and props, like I said, not much changed besides the couple things that we stated. Mainly at the beginning, that was the most part that changed. There might have been little things here and there, but it's hard for us to really tell, like, if it wasn't, like, a lot that changed. 'Cause I'm sure there was, like, maybe little things here and there. But for the most part, very similar to last year. This is probably one of the weakest year sets and props, mainly because of the lighting and stuff like that, and just so many things not working. There's always at least a couple animatronics that aren't working at this place, but it was pretty much all of them when we went.
Yeah.
So again, I really think something might have been happening with the power, and if that's the case, your experience might be really better. We just have to rate on what we saw. We still gave sets and props a 7. We kind of wanted to be a little more forgiving with it, just in case.
Yeah.
It was just a technical difficulty, but we still paid full price and went through it. We were sent through that way. So now we're going to get to actors. And this is something this place runs into problems a lot. And we do want to state we went on homecoming weekend, so there may have been call-offs because of like younger people going to homecoming or something like that, or maybe parents with their kids. I don't really know. And again, the weather, maybe people, because a lot of parts are outside, maybe people called off, I don't know. But they were definitely lacking on actors this night. The first half there was okay amount. The big problem we had with the ones that were there is we got through, and this was about a 25-minute long haunted house. I got 2 scares, Kim got 1 through the whole walkthrough. And there were 2 other people with us, and even when we were done, they were like, wow, we didn't get like any scares, because they only sent us with 2 other people that were leading, and they got all of the jump scares, but even they didn't get too many.
No.
It was more of like they were trying to just interact with us this year and like follow us around and tell us and like speak a lot of dialogue.
Yeah. It seemed like they were trying to tell a lot of stories this time, but it's like, it's kind of not the point.
Yeah, which I mean is okay, but I felt like that was the majority of it. Where, I mean, like, and they did seem to, like, have a lot of lines. I can't remember what they said because, you know, it's kind of hard to remember everything that was said. But, like, there was a guy that was following us around in the very first section. He was telling us, like, the whole story of the town and giving us a tour. That was neat.
Yeah.
There was, like, a pig man that we walked through, and he just kind of, like, looked at us. We weren't really sure what was going on there. But a lot of them had, like, quippy little dialogue and funny little things they would say to you. The biggest problem was, though, like, in the second half, like, especially, like, the Yeti house had a couple, but really that last haunt, I mean, there's probably like a good 5-minute stretch where we maybe saw one actor in that 5-minute stretch.
Yeah,
like
I want to say that last haunt had maybe 2 or 3 people.
Because you could see all the places they were supposed to be and you were expecting, and then just nothing happened. Because, like I said, I don't know if this is going to be all year, but that night it was very short-staffed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really have too much else to say about actors. I mean, I don't know. Do you?
No, that's basically what my notes were.
Yeah. So we give him a 7 because, again, I will say, like, the makeup and stuff is really good. The Q actors look great, and the ones that were there did a good job, like, interacting with us and stuff like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, so we prefer the jump scares more, but we still did give them a 7 because, again, the ones that were there we thought were good. So scare factor, and I want to preface scare factor, and we've said it in most of our reviews, but just because scare factors, though, doesn't necessarily mean the haunt is bad. I will say in this instance, it's kind of leaning a little more towards that because, again, you're paying for a haunt, and again, the one person I've been to a haunt in 10 years, and she maybe jumped one time, and we had her lead because we're like, oh, you know, she doesn't get to do this very often. Let's have her experience it. And she, like, didn't really get scared very much. Really not much to talk about. We kind of talked about in actors. We gave it a 3 because, I mean, nothing really happened. Barely, and no real jump scares. So yeah, scare factor is very low because we didn't get scared. So we'll just move right into value. It is $30 for the base ticket, $45 for VIP, which lets you skip the line. And what are the other ones?
It is $65 for super VIP, which is fast pass, and then you get a t-shirt. And then they have one that's called the legendary VIP, which is $85. You get fast pass, t-shirt, a bunch of other swag, midway tickets, a ticket to the maze. They have that blackout maze that everybody always loved.
I didn't.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, I didn't even know it. I didn't even see it.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, yeah, you get like a bunch of stuff with that one.
Yeah. If you're gonna do one of those last 2 tickets where you get stuff, especially with the shirt, make sure they have your size before you purchase it. I do believe we ran into that one year where they just, like, we got it, but they didn't, like, they just, like, straight up didn't have it, I think, or maybe we were gonna purchase it, and, like, yeah, we don't have that right now, so they warned us, but just double check that they have your size. If you buy this to get the thing, and they don't have it, you literally wasted your money, because, yeah. They do send people through excruciatingly slow, typically, at this place, so if they're busy at all, even if you don't think it looks like a huge line, I'd probably recommend spending the extra $15 to do the Fast Pass.
Yeah.
The other ones, you know, your discretion. If you're already going to be buying that thing, it's not really that bad of a deal to upcharge yourself to get the swag, but if, obviously you don't plan on playing the midway games or the shirts, you know, don't. And the midway was something that they introduced last year. We didn't do any of it, but it looked cool, and I have some footage of it. I'll insert. But yeah, and again, 25 minutes. So value, you know, decent. We also take into consideration the quality overall of the haunt, and since this year it was a little bit less than normal, we did give value a 7, where typically we would rate that a little higher. So overall, that brings us to, which we gave a 6.75 for the overall score. It's kind of, for the most part, averaging, with not taking scare factor 100% into consideration, but just a little bit. So that's why we docked it from 7 to 6.5, because of the low score that scare factor had, basically.
Yeah.
And again, you know, sometimes when the reviews aren't super positive, we get, you know, a lot of flack. Just want to preface with, we do this to help people decide where to go, and for the haunts to see what an experience for normal people are. Because again, like, this is not one that we have friends at. We go unannounced. We pay full price. So I mean, we are just normal customers that happen to film reviews afterwards instead of just typing on Google. We like to give details about stuff. So again, we are not trying to insult anyone that's there. All the actors did a good job, and it might just been an off night.
Yeah.
You know, you can leave in the comments if everything was great when you went there, and you can maybe read those comments and maybe judge your experience a little bit more off of that, more of a consensus, you know, because again, we're just talking about the experience we had, because what else could we talk about?
Yeah.
But yeah, that being said, our Fright Farm video should be coming up probably shortly after you're watching this, and they have quite a few changes for that this year too, so make sure you watch that if you're interested. Again, it's close to 100 Acre, so I highly recommend, if you have time to do both, do both. Save Fright Farm for last, though, because you'll be there for a while. Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you're ringing the notification bell.
And make sure you're looking for my little haunt character that's hiding back behind me. I am doing a contest. I'll probably start doing like some announcements for winners or whatever if you make a comment in October. But he's here somewhere. Comment down below if you see him. Ring the bell so you know when this contest goes, okay?
Alright, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye.